Hey, boys and girls, thanks for tuning in. I'm just getting back from the Women's March in Washington, D.C. And while it's fresh on my mind, I wanted to come and talk to you and share my thoughts about what went down today. So earlier this week, I put up a post on Facebook and I shared it on Instagram and my other social feeds that I was pretty ambivalent about the march today. I asked, is this something that I'm supposed to be attending? Because no one from the march had reached out to me and I didn't feel like any of the marketing for the march was particularly targeted toward me. Like it was something that I guess a Black woman should be attending. Yeah, it's a women's march, but, Black women have a very interesting, to put it ambivalently, or put it not precisely, relationship with feminism. A lot of Black women, even though those who consider themselves feminists, there's a general concern that we feel like we support feminism, but feminism doesn't always support us. And when I say feminism, I'm basically speaking of white women who are feminists. It's often pointed out that Black women are expected to rally behind issues that are important to mainstream feminism. But when the tables are turned in terms of issues that overwhelmingly affect Black women, that the support from the larger feminist movement is not there. And so it seemed that the Women's March today was largely white feminists. I mean, I think that the overall idea that was expressed to me in the comments of the post that I put up, the general reaction was they feel like white feminists are doing this as a way to sort of apologize for the extreme number of white women who voted Trump into office. A lot of Black women felt it was unnecessary to show up to the march. They didn't feel like they needed to literally lend their bodies to the numbers for the march. It was billed as 200,000 women who were supposed to attend. And then it got hyped into, what if it's like a 1,000,000 woman march? Another one. And Black women were just like, no, like you want me to come out and, build up your numbers and build up your support and, give great optics. But what are you doing for me in return? So a lot of Black women opted to sit this one out. That was more or less how I felt. I didn't really feel one way or another. I didn't feel like it was something for me. So I wasn't really for it. I wasn't really against it. But did I really feel like it was an agenda that was being addressed toward me? No, I didn't. I tweeted out asking like, hey, is this something that I'm supposed to be attending? And the overwhelming majority of you were like, no, really. A lot of you said you weren't going to attend. A couple people were like, Dee, this is something you need to be at. And behind the scenes, I was gathered by some elders and some other women who are not elders, but women who I definitely respected. And they were like, Dee, like you kind of need to be on the right side of history with this one. I think you should just go just to see what it's about. So I thought that was fair. So I went to just see what it was about, try to be as objective as possible and just to observe, with a very open spirit, open mind. I was very fortunate enough to have an all access badge. So, thanks to the higher ups at the march. And at one point I did go on stage, and as far as the eye could see, it was just sea of pink, people in pink. Like women took that wear pink thing like really seriously. I can't get one of those pink hats over my hair, so I just did two little balls to, one with ovaries, whatever. But it was a whole lot of people. And walking through the crowd, there were not a lot of brown faces. I definitely did see a brown presence, but it was overwhelmingly white, which I kind of expected. But there were lots and lots and lots of women with Black Lives Matter t-shirts or signs or pins or something like that. So I definitely did feel that it was inclusive in that sense. I felt very, what's the word? Not connected. I felt welcomed. I didn't feel like I was in someone else's space. I felt like I was at a space that was invested, that shared the same ideals that I have. So like the Black Lives Matter signs, like carried by the white woman, like I'm not saying that these are like the wokest white women on earth, but I kind of feel like, nope, this is probably not an environment where I'm going to get called an N-bomb or they're going to say something explicitly racist. It was a very inclusive crowd, even though it was very much, it was very white. It wasn't like play the game where you look around like, oh my God, where's another Black person? Where's another brown person? It wasn't that, but it was very white. It was very white. Behind the scenes was very brown. It really was very brown. And I was once I posted my Facebook page, I was informed promptly that 3 of the 4 organizers for the march were women of color. One of them, Tamika Mallory, is a Black woman. National Action Network. So Al Sharpton, she came up through there. There was another woman who's Latino and another woman who's Muslim. Forgive me, I don't know their names, but it was really brown. Like behind the scenes, like most of the media team, brown people, and the people I spoke to who were working the event, they were very frank that like, we're here because, you know, Tamika got involved and because brown women saw that a march was happening and was like, hey, you can't do this, a women's march, without including women of color. So the original organizers, it was very white. Brown women showed up and said, okay, this is how y'all are going to do this. It was sort of conveyed to me that brown women needed to step in because they were needed on all fronts, from getting more inclusion to just the very basics of how do we put together a large march. But yeah, lots of brown faces. Diarra, who is working with Hillary Clinton's camp, she's really high up there and at the march. Janae Ingram, she's also from National Action Network. She was one of the high up people who was, you know, pulling things together behind the scenes. And just a lot of brown faces milling about. I mean, it's like Beverly Bond was there. Angela Davis, like the Angela Davis, like bow down Angela Davis was like, I don't know if you... It wasn't a speaker, that it was something that looked like a speaker. I don't want to say that Angela Davis was sitting on a speaker, but I want to say that Angela Davis was sitting on something that looked like a speaker and was chilling. There was a moment, and I captured it on camera because I think it's funny. Michaela Angela Davis is often mistaken for Angela Davis, to the point that reputable magazines will write a story about Angela Davis and use the picture of Michaela Angela Davis. So they passed by each other and stopped to speak. And I took a picture to be like, see, they're not the same person. I just thought it was funny that they were speaking to each other. And I was like, moment. I did not speak to Angela Davis only because I didn't know what to say. I think I would have been like, hi. And I don't know what else would have come after that. So I just sort of like had a moment where I stood close to her just to bask in her glow and to be like, I guess I'm doing okay in life. I'm figuring out some things. I'm doing enough of the right things to get in the right places where my idols are. So that it was really like all right, Angela Davis. All right, you might be okay, kiddo. Gloria Steinem was there. I was on stage briefly speaking to a couple of my friends, just hanging out. And I turned around for whatever reason. I looked back and Gloria Steinem was just like sitting there. Like not in a chair. She was like sitting on something on the edge of the stage and she was leaning over writing something. And I was like, Gloria Steinem, look at that. Fascinating. Janelle Monáe was backstage. She was the cutest thing ever. Alicia Keys was hanging out before she went up to speak. Beautiful. That no makeup thing, it isn't just for like, it's not like a whole bunch of editing for like print and Instagram. Like she really looks good. Her face looks like good and the hair is huge. Like she's really a pretty woman. Who else was milling about? Janelle Snowden, VH1. She was back there. Beverly Bond, makes sense. Black Girls Rock and Women's March. And who else? But it was just like very brown. Like behind the scenes, Felicia Butterfield from Ween and Google, she was there. Natalie Cofield from Walker's Legacy. So all of your favorite Black girls who run Black girl organizations, all there. Elaine Welteroth from Teen Vogue. Angela Yee, because obviously Yee from the Breakfast Club. It was so many people, so many women of color. So I tell you all that to tell you this. And I say this knowing that I may never get invited to another event with these kind of organizers or with this public relations firm ever again. I feel like it could have been marketed better. It really could have, because I feel a lot of women who would have enjoyed today and would have gotten something out of today and would have loved the speeches and the performers and the marching and the solidarity and the sisterhood and all of that. I feel like there were a lot of women who who should have been there, but didn't feel like this was an event that was aimed at them. They didn't feel like they were welcome or this was an event that was about them. And they didn't feel that way because no one told them, hey, you should come. Because I'll be honest, right? So I have friends who are heavily involved in activism or who were involved in this specific march, right? I follow them on Facebook. Some of them I follow, other ones on different social media platforms, other ones I just have like in my phone, right? I saw one ad for this march. But I didn't really hear like my friends talking about it. Like no one who's really like an influencer in my circle was posting a flyer for the march or saying like, hey, I'm going to this march. Are you going to go too? Or here's a hashtag about the march so you can learn more information. Or here's a website about the march so you can learn more information. Like I didn't see that. And for nearly everything else that I know about, how I find out about it is scrolling through Instagram or somebody I know posts something on Facebook. That's how I get information. A lot more women of color should have been at this march, but I don't fault them for not attending because it was not promoted as something that involved Black women. Even though the audience was very white, I did feel the stage was very brown and inclusive. Everybody was up there. It was a little bit of everybody. Maxwell, who, God bless that man, because that man knows his entire audience is women. Not necessarily Black women, but women and the men who bring them to concerts because they want to get some later. If you told folks Maxwell was going to be there, more brown folks would have came. Had we known, not even Maxwell, but the mothers of the movement were going to be there, Black women would have felt more included. We would have felt like, oh, this is for us. This is something that's recognizing issues that are important to us and that we should show up for this. And a lot of people just didn't know. And if you think I'm just saying that because I didn't know, I mean, look up and down the comments because both of those posts are still up, the one on Facebook and the one on Instagram. Go through the comments. It's probably 200 on one side and 100 on the other social media page. But women debating whether they're going to go to the march or not. And a lot of them stayed home. And my audience largely is 89% women, overwhelmingly with college degrees, double degrees. Like we're a smart bunch. We're a smart, involved, well-read bunch at that. And for events like this, it's who you want to be in the building. There was really no reason that they should have stayed home. And Lord knows if I was engaged, if I was approached to be like, this is something that, you know, your audience would love. This is something you would love because I am my audience. Can you share it with your people? Yeah, I could. And I would. And I'd be happy to, like, just help me help you. My audience, they want to feel included. They want their issues to be addressed. They don't like being on the margins. They don't like being a second thought or being on the back burner. When they feel that they have a seat at the table, especially when the chair is being pulled out, they want to be there. If you have a seat for us, let us know. We want to be engaged because all of the women who are like, I don't feel that's for me. I don't feel like I need to go there. I have better things to do with my time. I'm not wasting my time uplifting a white woman's event. I'm not going to something that doesn't include me. I absolutely understand exactly why each and every one of them said that. And I got there today and found that that wasn't the case. The idea that we're just going to put this thing together and we're not going to reach out specifically to this audience, what you get is women who should be involved, whose issues were put on the table and addressed, who don't attend. And then on the back end, people feel like, well, we did this thing and no Black women showed up. Well, you didn't invite them. When I was invited, I came. And when my audience is invited, they too will also come. These are women who are activists in different forms in their community. But what they won't do is show up for optics and then be used. They want to be included. And you should include them and you should invite them. That's all I'm trying to say. So I think I've covered everything. I'll never be able to list all the people that were there. There were so many, but it was a really fun day. I'm glad that I went because I really think it was inclusive. And I really do think it was something that a lot of Black women, women of color who didn't feel that it was their place to be there actually would have enjoyed if they knew more about it. So let me know what you think about the march. If you watched it on TV, especially if you attended, if you didn't attend because whatever reason, you can tell me that too. I just want to know your thoughts around the march. Share them with me. Happy to hear it. And I think that's everything. Okay. Bye. Thanks for watching as always. Oh, subscribe. I appreciate when you do. Mwah, mwah, mwah.